Good afternoon. Today we will be reviewing for our quiz that will be coming up tomorrow. Remember that you can pause and write anything down as you choose. And if you would just work out these problems and then go ahead and check and make sure that you did them correctly. So today we're going to determine whether the number is prime, composite, or neither. Remember, prime means that it has exactly two factors, and composite means that it has more than two factors. Neither would represent either a 0 or a 1. We start at 57. This one is often confused as being prime, but if you remember, if we do 5 plus 7, we get 12. And our divisibility rule for 3 would be to add up each digit, 5 plus 7, and see if this number is divisible by 3. And since 12 is divisible by 3, we know that a 3 can go into 57. So we know the factors of 57 have to be more than 3 because it would include 1 times 57. And it would also include 3, and you don't have to really know what it multiplies by in order to figure out that it is composite. So 57 would be a composite number. If we go over to 97, think about your divisibility rules once again. It's not even, so a 2 can't go into it. If I use my divisibility rules for 3, I can do 9 plus 7, which is 16. 3 cannot go into 16, so 3 would not be a divisibility rule. It doesn't end in a 5 or a 0, so a 5 can't go into it. And it also does not end in a 0, so 10 cannot divide into it. Therefore, this would be a prime number, meaning it has only two factors. Okay? Let's try our next step. I'm going to write the prime factorization using exponents, and the most important part here is that at the end of our prime factorization, you're going to have to use exponents. Okay? Now, when we do our tree diagram, what you're looking for to start off with are two factors of 40. It does not matter what two factors you choose. I'm going to go ahead and start with 4 times 10, which would be 40. Since we're doing the prime factorization here, we want to make sure that we're breaking it down into its primes. So 4 is a composite number, so we're going to keep going with the 4. And we know 2 times 2 is 4. Both of these factors are prime, so I'm going to go ahead and circle them so I don't forget to include them in my answer. 10 is also a composite number, so I'm going to break that 10 down as well. And I get 2 times 5 is 10. 2 is a prime number. It has only two factors, and 5 is also a prime number. You'll notice I have no longer have any composite numbers done or left. So I am going to begin to write out my prime factorization, which would be 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. Remember, your prime factorization is going to include any numbers that all prime numbers that multiply together to give me that 40 to begin with. Okay, so you can always test it. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. And 8 times 5 is 40, so I know I did it correctly. This is my answer if I didn't have to write it using an exponent. Okay, so I know that I have 1, 2, 3 2's, so I can write that as 2 to the third power times 5. This would be the correct answer using exponents. Okay, so that's how we do the prime factorization using exponents. The next type of problem you're going to see is to write each power as a product of the same factor, then find the value. Okay, product of the same factor here means I'm going to write the 3 to the 4th power out as a product of the same factor. Okay, so 3 to the 4th power is the same as 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Remember, the base is what's being multiplied over and over again, and the 4 tells us how many times to multiply that 3. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and find the value. So I'm going to multiply through. I know 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. And then to multiply my 9 times 9, I get 81. So this has two answers. The first answer would consist of writing it as a product of the same factors. So this would be part 1. And the other part would be my answer, my value, after I multiply all those numbers together. Okay? Then I'm going to write each product using an exponent. Now here, remember that does not ask you to find the value at all. So I'm not going to find the value, but I am going to write it as a product using an exponent. So I have 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. My base would be 6 because that's the number I'm multiplying over and over again. So I'm going to start with 6. And how many 6's do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So my exponent is 4. All right, please remember that you can pause this at any time if you want to write down the problems before I begin to explain it. Okay? Then I want to find the value of each expression. This would be using the order of operations. Remember, you're going to do parentheses first, exponents, then multiplication or division, going from left to right, and then finally addition or subtraction, going from left to right. Okay, so this only has subtraction and addition, but I know I'm going to start with subtraction because it comes first when I go left to right. So 10 minus 6 is 4. Bring down my plus 20. And now I'm going to add these two together, and my answer is 24. All right, let's go to the next one. Same type of thing, but this time I'm going to start with my parentheses. Remember, parentheses is what we said would be first. So 15 minus 10 is 5. Bring down the rest of my problem. 25 divided by 5 times 2. Division is going to come first this time because I'm going from left to right when I have division and multiplication. 25 divided by 5 is 5. 5 times 2 would then be 10. And there's my solution for that one. Last one, as far as order of operations, I have an exponent this time. I don't have any parentheses, but I do have exponents, which would be my second problem. 3 to the second power, remember, means 3 times 3, not 3 times 2. So 3 times 3 is 9, plus 32 divided by 2. Now the two operations I have left are addition and division. And if you remember, division comes before addition at any point. So 32 divided by 2 is 16. Bring down my 9 plus 16, and now I'm almost done. 9 plus 16 would be 25, and that is my correct solution. All right, we're almost done here. Now this is when we use substitution and then order of operations. I know that A equals 2, B equals 5, and C equals 9. So I'm going to substitute these numbers into my expressions and then solve. So A is 2, so I have 2 times B, which is 5, minus 6. Oops. Okay, so I have multiplication and subtraction. I know I must do multiplication first. 2 times 5 is 10. Subtract your 6, and I get 10 minus 6 is 4. Okay, same thing I would do over here. So I have C squared, which is 9 squared, minus 2 times 2. My exponent comes first. I get 81. minus 2 times 2. Multiplication before subtraction, so 2 times 2 is 4. 81 minus 4 is going to be 77. And there's my solution. Okay, now remember that these are all the processes and steps that you're going to have to know how to do in order to do the quiz. So if there's sections that you don't understand, I would get out your book and I would review some of those problems before our quiz tomorrow. Hopefully this is going to help you out. If you want to start it over and look at some specific problems again, I encourage you to do that. I'll see you tomorrow. Good luck.